Buried history. The Viking who discovered America 500 years before Columbus. Everyone knows the story. Christopher Columbus, 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, the man who discovered America. Except he didn't, not even close. 500 years before Columbus was born, a Norse warrior had already walked on American soil, built houses there, spent the winter, and sailed back home. His name was Leif Erikson, and almost nobody knows who he is. To understand Leif, you have to understand where he came from. His father was Erik the Red, one of the most notorious men in the Norse world. Erik wasn't famous for being wise or diplomatic. He was famous for being exiled, twice, first from Norway for manslaughter, then from Iceland, also for manslaughter. After his second exile, Erik sailed west into completely uncharted ocean with nowhere to go and nothing to lose. He found a massive frozen island, named it Greenland. Historians believe he called it that to make it sound appealing to settlers, and built a colony there from scratch. This was the family Leif Erikson grew up in. Violence, exploration, and absolutely zero fear of the unknown. Around 1000 AD, Leif heard a story from a merchant named Bjarni Herjolfsson. Bjarni claimed he had been blown off course sailing to Greenland and had spotted land to the west. Forested land, flat land nobody had ever set foot on. But Bjarni hadn't stopped to explore it. Leif thought that was insane. He bought Bjarni's ship, recruited 35 men, and sailed west. No maps, no compass, no idea what was out there. What he found would rewrite the history of human exploration, and then get almost completely forgotten for 1,000 years. Leif made landfall in 3 places. The first he called Helluland, Flat Rock Land. Historians believe this was Baffin Island in northern Canada. The second he called Markland, Forest Land, likely Labrador. The third, the place he decided to stay, he called Vinland, the land of wine, because of the wild grapes growing everywhere. Vinland is now believed to be the northern tip of Newfoundland, Canada. Leif and his men built a proper settlement, stone foundations, timber longhouses, a forge for working iron. They spent an entire winter there, fishing, exploring, gathering resources that Greenland desperately needed. For centuries, this was dismissed as legend, Viking mythology, a good story with no proof behind it. Then in 1960, a Norwegian explorer named Helge Ingstad and his wife Anne Stein started digging at a place called Lonso Meadows in Newfoundland. They found it, the actual settlement, Norse buildings, Norse artifacts, a bronze cloak pin, iron boat rivets, the remains of a forge, 1,000 years old, sitting right there in the Canadian dirt, waiting for someone to look. Leif Erikson's colony was real. The Vikings reached North America in 1000 AD. Columbus arrived in 1492. That is a 492-year gap. So why did Leif leave? Because the land was already occupied. The Vikings encountered the indigenous people living there. They called them Skraelings, a Norse word meaning something close to barbarians. Early interactions were cautious but manageable. Trade happened. There was an uneasy peace. Then it collapsed. Accounts differ on exactly what triggered the violence. Some say a Norse bull charging out of the woods terrified a group of Skraelings and sparked a battle. Others suggest it was simply the inevitable tension of 2 groups of people who had no shared language, no shared culture, and very different ideas about who this land belonged to. What's clear is that the Skraelings fought back, hard, and there were far more of them than there were Vikings. Leif's sister-in-law Freydis, one of the most remarkable figures in the entire saga, reportedly scared off an attack single-handedly. Outnumbered, she grabbed a sword, bared her chest, and slapped it with the blade while screaming at the attackers. They retreated. But even Freydis couldn't hold Vinland forever. The Norse abandoned the settlement, thousands of miles from home, massively outnumbered, with no reinforcements coming. They made the only logical decision and sailed back to Greenland. They never returned. Here's what makes this story so strange. Leif Erikson didn't fail. He succeeded. He found new land, built a settlement, survived a winter, and made it home alive. By any Viking measure, that was a triumph. But the colony didn't last. The knowledge didn't spread. The maps, if there were any, didn't survive. Europe didn't follow up. And 5 centuries later, a Genoese sailor named Christopher Columbus set sail under the Spanish flag, landed in the Bahamas, and got all the credit for discovering a continent that Norse boots had already touched. Columbus even believed until his dying day that he had reached Asia. He never admitted he had found something new. Leif Erikson knew exactly what he found. Today, there is a statue of Leif Erikson in Boston. There's one in Chicago. There's one in Reykjavik. The United States officially recognizes Leif Erikson Day, October 9th. Almost nobody celebrates it. Columbus Day still gets the parades. History is written by the people with better marketing, not always by the people who actually showed up first. Leif Erikson walked on American soil in 1000 AD. It took the world nearly 1,000 years to admit it. Subscribe to Buried History. We find what history forgot.